Pro-choice advocates are saying language like yours, not specifically singling you out, but language like yours has incited violence. I'd like to get your reaction to that, but also, is it that you would say to protesters, people outside these clinics, about the limits of their opposition?
Well, first, it is not alleged. Planned Parenthood acknowledged several weeks ago that they would no longer take compensation for body parts, which sounds like an admission that they were doing so. Secondly, this is so typical of the left to immediately begin demonizing a messenger because they don't agree with the message. The vast majority of Americans agree. What Planned Parenthood is doing is wrong. And that's why the vast majority of Americans are prepared not only to defund Planned Parenthood, but also to stop abortion for any reason at all after 5 months. So what I would say to anyone who tries to link this terrible tragedy to anyone who opposes abortion or opposes the sale of body parts is this is typical left-wing tactics.
And what would you say to the protesters, the people that are outside the clinics and oppose it?
Well, any protesters should always be peaceful, whether it's Black Lives Matter or pro-life protesters. Protesters should always be peaceful and respectful.
Let me turn subjects on you. President Obama is on his way to Paris today for a climate change summit. And this week, he linked that to the war on terror. Take a look.
What a powerful rebuke to the terrorists it will be when the world stands as one and shows that we will not be deterred from building a better future for our children.
Your reaction to the summit and to the contention by some in the Obama administration that climate change is, if not the biggest, certainly the most immediate threat to our national security?
Well, that's delusional. It is delusional for President Obama and Hillary Clinton and anyone else to say that climate change is our near-term most severe security threat. It is ISIS, period, followed closely by Iran and perhaps Russia. President Obama continues to think that somehow our behavior causes terrorism. So he says the climate change summit is a powerful rebuke. No, it's not. The terrorists don't care that we're gathering in Paris other than it provides a target. Just as he said, well, Republicans are giving terrorists a recruiting tool and we don't think Syrian refugees should be allowed to enter this country if we cannot properly vet them. President Obama is delusional about this. He's delusional about the threat, which apparently is why he won't do anything about it.
Do you think it's worthwhile for him to go to Paris, to go to this international summit and try to work out emissions limits?
Well, look, if you read the fine print of the science, what the scientists tell us, all those scientists who say climate change is real and man-made, they also tell us that a single nation acting alone can make no difference at all, that it will take a concerted global effort over 30 years, costing trillions of dollars. I think the likelihood of that is near zero. So no, I don't think it's particularly productive. I think it would be far more productive if President Obama instead was there leading an international coalition to stop human trafficking, or an international coalition for humanitarian relief for the refugees, or an international coalition to defeat ISIS. All of those things would be more useful than time in Paris spent talking about climate change.
Let's turn to the Republican presidential race. You have gotten a big lift in the polls, particularly after the first two Republican debates, but just looking at the numbers, you have fallen back since then. And let's put up a couple of the polls. In the Real Clear Politics average of recent polls in Iowa, you're now 6th with 3.7%. That's down from when you were running 3rd with 10.3% in early October. It's the same in New Hampshire. You're now tied for 9th with 4.3%, down from early October when you were running 2nd with 14.3%. You are a numbers person. Why do you keep sliding back?
Well, I'm a numbers person, but national polls and some of these polls are notoriously unpredictable. They've never predicted a winner at this stage in a race. But here's what I would say. When I launched my campaign on May 4th, no one would have said I would be in the top 10. No one would have said I would be on the main stage. In fact, every pundit on this channel and every other channel virtually wrote me off. I've had a trajectory unlike any other candidate. I was the least well-known candidate on May 4th. I remain at the bottom of well-known candidates. In other words, a lot of Republican voters still don't know who I am. I'm very happy with where I am. And now people are going to start paying attention. Now people are paying attention.
Let me check you on that, because I know you talk about name recognition, and so I looked into that this weekend. According to a national Quinnipiac poll that this month, more Republicans now know who you are than know who Marco Rubio is or Ted Cruz, and yet they're running ahead of you in the polls. So it isn't just name recognition.
No, I'm not saying it's just name recognition, but it is to say that having never run for a political office before and not being a household name and in people's living rooms like Donald Trump and Ben Carson for many years, people are getting to know me. And now, by the way, people are really starting to pay attention. And so later this week, I'm going to be rolling out my blueprint, the blueprint for what we need to do to take our country back. Our government is crushing the potential of our nation. And to take our country back will require a different kind of leadership in the White House. It is why I'm running. It will require citizenship, and we need to do some very specific things, from radically simplifying the tax code, to going to zero-based budgeting, to repealing Obamacare, to restoring the character of our nation, to enforcing a pro-American immigration system, to defeating ISIS and getting back in the leadership business around the world.
There's a lot I want to pick up on that. Specifically, first, you mentioned Donald Trump. One of your biggest moments so far in this campaign was when you shot back at Mr. Trump after he commented on your appearance. This week, he's under fire again, this time for mocking the physical disability of a reporter. Take a look.
You got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
Are you prepared to call Trump out on that?
Well, yes, this is the pattern, isn't it? The pattern is he says something insulting, offensive, outrageous. The media pays attention. Then he claims we all misunderstood him. The media pays attention again. This is the pattern, perhaps, of an entertainer. It's certainly not the pattern of a leader. Apparently, Donald Trump only feels big when he's trying to make everyone else look small. Of course, in the end, he looks the smallest of all.
You are talking about the fact that you're going to come out with some specifics on a variety of issues. I want to talk to you about the tax code, because you have taken some heat for at least so far, and I don't know what you're going to do this week, not being specific enough, according to some people, on the tax code. You've said that you want to reduce 73,000-page tax code to 3 pages. You say that you're going to close every loophole and lower every tax rate. But again, some people say you haven't been specific enough, so I'd like to do a lightning round with you. Quick questions, quick answers. Ask you some specific questions, hopefully get some specific answers. Would you end, do you plan to end the home mortgage deduction?
Probably, yes. But by the way, there has been a plan for a 3-page tax code out for 20 years. This isn't news. Hoover Institute, a fine conservative think tank of which I have served as a member of the Board of Trustees, has had a 3-page tax code out for 20 years. I think fundamentally what we ought to do is have the government take away less money so that it has to give less money back. A 73,000-page tax code is so complicated. This is how the government maintains power. It's giving all these credits and deductions back because it takes too much away. And of course, it's true. If you're late, you have to pay interest. But if the government's late, they never pay interest.
Would you eliminate the deduction for charitable donations?
Probably. Look, if we added 2 more back in, let's just say those are the 2 most popular deductions, the charitable tax deduction, the home mortgage tax deduction. Good. Let's add 2 more back in. The fundamental design philosophy, however, is lower every rate, close every loophole, because government takes
But you would end both of those deductions.
I said probably. I said even if we put both back in. Can you imagine how much simpler that would be? This is what the government does. It takes away too much money, and then with all those deductions and loopholes, it exerts power. I could live with 2 deductions, Chris. I could live with the charitable and the home mortgage deduction. But this is what always happens. Everybody says, oh, you can't take those away, and so then 73,000 pages never gets reformed. Never gets reformed. The fundamental blueprint, you have to have a blueprint to have fundamental reform. You know why this has never happened? Because everybody's ox is going to get gored. If you go from 73,000 pages down to 3 pages, everybody's ox gets gored. Every politician, every lobbyist, every accountant, every lawyer. The only people who benefit from this are the small, the powerless, the new business. The tax code, the complexity of government favors the big, the powerful, the wealthy, the well-connected. It's called crony capitalism. Republicans have engaged in it as well as Democrats. If you level the playing field by simplifying, then you help the small and the powerless and the middle class.
Finally, and we're running out of time here, President Obama got a fair amount of criticism this week, or rather attention this week, not criticism, for pardoning a turkey. It turns out you did the same thing. Take a look.
We are pardoning the turkey so that you go on to find yourself a nice Tom and create some turkeys that maybe will get eaten next year.
I love, that was Jenny, right?
That was Jenny. That was Jenny.
That is an Obama policy that you would continue.